Imagine being denied access to your own private jet simply because of how you look. What happened next in this unbelievable story left everyone speechless. Today we bring you the jaw-dropping journey of Marcus Brown, a self-made tech entrepreneur and CEO of Brown Innovations. Despite his incredible achievements, Marcus faced blatant discrimination at a private airport, where he was dismissed, mocked and humiliated. But what the crew didn't realize was that they were about to face a truth that would turn their world upside down. This story isn't just about prejudice, it's about perseverance, accountability, and standing up against injustice. Marcus didn't back down, and his actions sparked a powerful lesson in leadership and respect. Stay with us until the end to see how this incredible story unfolds. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know where you're watching from as we dive into one of the most inspiring real-life stories you'll ever hear. It's the private terminal at New York Executive Airfield, buzzed with quiet luxury. Sleek black suits and high-end sports cars pulled up to the entrance, dropping off wealthy passengers en route to exclusive destinations. Chaffair has held open doors for clients dressed in tailored suits and designer ensembles. The atmosphere was one of effortless privilege, where only the elite came and went. Amid this opulence, Marcus Brown stepped out of a modest black SUV, pulling his carry-on bag. Behind him, the CEO of Brown Innovations. Marcus was on his way to London to deliver the keynote speech at an international tech conference. His groundbreaking advancements in artificial intelligence had made him a leader in the tech world, yet he carried himself with a humility that bred his success in casual slacks and a leather jacket. Marcus blended in far more than anyone would have expected of someone who owned a multi-million-dollar jet. As Marcus approached Hangar 14, where his GF Stream G7-100, aptly named Skyborne, awaited, he noticed the flight crew gathered near the entrance. Wesley Price, the airport's chief of operations, stood with a stern expression. Next to him was Adam Clark, the smug pilot, and Lauren Bennett, the indifferent co-pilot. Jessica Lane, the flight attendant, leaned against the door, her dismissive demeanor evident. Even from afar, Marcus offered a polite nod, but his gesture was met with cold indifference. The crew barely acknowledged him, and when Wes finally did, it was with a condescending glance. The air around them was charged not with the excitement of a departure, but with an unspoken tension, the kind Marcus had unfortunately encountered far too many times. He kept his composure, unaware that what was about to happen would test his patience and character in ways he hadn't anticipated. As Marcus Brown approached the hangar, he was met by Wesley Price, the airport's chief of operations, whose cold gaze narrowed at him. Marcus, calm, polite, said, "I'm here for Skyborne. I need to board now." Wesley's posture stiffened. "Excuse me, sir, this area is restricted. No unauthorized personnel allowed," he replied sharply, crossing his arms. "I'm the client," Marcus said, keeping his tone measured. "Skyborne belongs to me." Wesley Smirked, letting out a short laugh. Sure. It does, and I'm the President of the United States. Marcus frowned but maintained his composure. Check the registration record. My name is on them by now. The rest of the crew had joined in on the scene. Adam, the pilot, leaned against the doorframe. With a mocking grin. This guy thinks he owns the jet, he muttered to Lauren, the co-pilot, loud enough for Marcus to hear. Jessica, the flight attendant, rolled her eyes. Typical, she murmured under her breath, barely hiding her disdain. Marcus took a deep breath, forcing down the familiar frustration rising within him. He had faced prejudice before, but this encounter cut deeper. He pointed calmly at the jet and said again, check the records. This is my jet. Wiley waved him off. I don't have time for games. People like you don't fly jets like this. Marcus stiffened, his jaw tightening at the blatant comment. People like me, he repeated, his voice now edged with quiet anger. You heard me, Wesley replied coldly. Now leave before I call security. Adam snickered. He's probably here to take a selfie with the jet or something, maybe post it on social media to look important. Jessica chuckled, adding, or a delivery guy who got lost. Their laughter echoed in the hangar, each comment like a jab. Marcus could feel the sting of humiliation burning inside him, but he refused to let it consume him. Instead, he squared his shoulders and met Wesley's glare. I'm asking you one last time, Marcus said firmly. Check the ownership records and you'll see my name. Wesley crossed his arms defiantly. I don't care what story you're spinning, you don't belong here. Marcus stood still for a moment, weighing his options. He considered walking away and calling his assistant to clear up the confusion, but something inside him refused to back down. He wasn't just defending his ownership of the jet, he was standing up against the prejudice he had endured time and time again. Finally he pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts. With a calm, steady voice he called his assistant. Rachel, I need you to send Skyborne ownership documents to the operations office immediately. Copy the legal team as well. He ended the call and slipped the phone into his pocket, his expression unshaken. We're about to settle this, Marcus said, his voice resolute as he turned back to Wesley. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but Wesley remained defiant. Marcus, however, was done playing by their rules. He had fought too hard and achieved too much to let ignorance like this dictate his day. Let's see how you handle the truth, Marcus muttered under his breath, waiting with quiet determination for the documents that would change everything. As Marcus stood near the hangar, his phone buzzed. The ownership documents for Skyborne had been sent to the operations office just as he requested. He glanced at Wesley, who was still standing smugly with his arms crossed, oblivious to what was coming. Moments later, a young assistant from the operations office hurried over, clutching a folder. Mr. Brown, she asked, slightly out of breath. That's me, Marcus replied calmly, taking the folder from her. Wesley smirk faltered as Marcus handed him the documents. Take a look, Marcus said firmly. You'll find my name on every page. Wesley flipped through the papers, his expression shifting from disbelief to embarrassment. The one smug pilot Adam leaned over to glance at the folder, and his face turned pale. Lauren and Jessica exchanged nervous glances, realizing the gravity of their mistake. This can't be," Wesley stammered. "You own Skyborn. I told you that from the beginning," Marcus replied, his tone steady but cutting, "and you chose to ignore me." Jessica stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Mr. Brown, we didn't mean." Marcus raised a hand, silencing her. "You dismissed me, mocked me, and treated me as if I didn't belong. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was blatant prejudice, and I won't tolerate it." Turning to the entire crew, Marcus spoke with quiet authority. "All of you off my jet now." Adam tried to protest. "Wait, we didn't know." Marcus cut him off, his voice cold. "You didn't bother to know. I gave you multiple chances to check the facts, and you chose to belittle me instead. That's not a mistake, it's a decision, and it has consequences." He turned back to Wesley. "Effective immediately. You're fired. Collect your things and leave the Prem Pro's security will escort you out." The crew stood frozen, their arrogance replaced by stunned silence. Security guards, now fully briefed on the situation, approached to ensure the crew complied. Marcus watched them leave, his expression calm but resolute. This moment wasn't about revenge, it was about accountability. He had worked his entire life to achieve the success symbolized by Skyborn, and he refused to let ignorance and prejudice diminish it. As the hangar doors closed behind the dismissed crew, Marcus felt a sense of justice. This wasn't just about setting the record straight, it was about standing up for himself and making it clear that such behavior would never be acceptable. Later, as he boarded Skyborn, Marcus took a moment to reflect. This experience wasn't just personal, it was a reminder of the larger issue of discrimination that many still face daily. By standing his ground, he had not only reclaimed his dignity but also set a powerful example of how to confront prejudice head-on. So with a deep breath, Marcus settled into his seat. He wasn't just flying to London for a keynote speech, he was carrying with him a story that would inspire and challenge perspectives far beyond the runway. After the incident, Marcus Brown arrived at the headquarters of Skyborn Aviation for an emergency meeting. The tension in the air was palpable. Every senior executive, department head, and key staff member had been summoned. Whispers filled the conference room as employees speculated about the sudden firings of Wesley, Adam, Lauren, and Jessica. When Marcus entered, the room fell silent. He moved with quiet authority, his expression resolute. Taking his place at the podium, he adjusted the microphone and scanned the room, ensuring he had everyone's attention. "Good afternoon." Marcus began, his voice steady but sharp. "I called this meeting to address an issue far more critical than profits, expansion, or any other business objective. This is about the culture we cultivate within this company." The room remained silent as Marcus recounted the humiliating incident in precise detail. He described the mockery, the dismissive attitudes, and the refusal to verify his Ownership of Skyborn. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a procedural error. He said, his tone firm. It was blatant discrimination and abuse of authority. Fueled by prejudice. He paused, letting his words sink in. As CEO, I am responsible for ensuring that Skyborn Aviation operates with integrity and respect. What happened last week was unacceptable, not just for me but for anyone who would have been treated the same way. Marcus's voice softened, but his resolve remained evident. The individuals involved have been terminated for gross misconduct. However, this is about more than just consequences. It's about responsibility. If we want to lead this industry, we must hold ourselves to a higher standard, not just in service but in how we treat one another. He went on to announce a series of sweeping changes starting immediately. Skyborn Aviation would implement mandatory diversity, equity and inclusion training for all employees, from entry-level staff to executives. Respect and ethical conduct are not optional in this company, Marcus stated firmly. He also unveiled new partnerships with minority-owned aviation firms to promote opportunities for underrepresented groups in the industry. Leadership isn't about wealth or titles, Marcus said, his gaze steady. It's about action. It's about changing the culture, especially when no one expects you to. His words resonated deeply with the room, drawing a mix of admiration and introspection from the staff. Many realized that this wasn't just a response to a single incident. It was the start of a company-wide transformation. In the weeks that followed, Skyborn Aviation began rolling out its new initiatives. Training programs were developed, partnerships solidified, and a clear message was sent. Discrimination in any form would not be tolerated. For Marcus, this wasn't just about addressing what had happened to him. It was about creating a legacy of accountability and change. His actions proved that true leadership is measured not by power but by the willingness to confront injustice and inspire progress. Marcus Brown's experience at the private airfield wasn't just an isolated incident. It was a reflection of broader, deeply ingrained societal issues. Discrimination in professional settings, whether overt or subtle, remains a persistent challenge that many face daily. For Marcus, this incident wasn't simply about being denied access to his jet. It was about confronting the stereotypes and biases that too often dictate how people are treated based on appearances. This story resonates with countless individuals who have faced similar treatment. Studies show that workplace discrimination remains a significant issue in many industries. For example, a 2023 survey by the Center for Workplace Diversity revealed that over 60% of employees in the U.S. reported witnessing or experiencing bias in professional environments. Incidents range from microaggressions to outright prejudice, and the effects can be deeply damaging both emotionally and professionally. What makes Marcus's story so powerful is not just the injustice he endured but how he chose to respond. Instead of walking away or allowing the incident to be brushed under the rug, Marcus took decisive action. He didn't just stand up for himself, he set a precedent for others to follow. This is a critical lesson for anyone facing discrimination. Silence allows prejudice to persist, but action can lead to change. Marcus's resilience in the face of such blatant disrespect is a testament to his character as a leader. He understood the importance of confronting the issue. His decision to fire the crew wasn't about revenge, it was about accountability. By addressing the problem directly, he sent a clear message that discrimination in any form would not be tolerated. The changes Marcus implemented at Skyborne Aviation: mandatory diversity training, partnerships with minority-owned firms, and a renewed commitment to respect and inclusion, demonstrate the positive impact of his leadership. These actions didn't just address the immediate incident, they aimed to prevent future occurrences and foster a culture of equity within the company. For many viewers, Marcus' story serves as a reminder of the power of resilience and the importance of advocating for oneself. It also challenges companies and leaders to take a closer look at their own practices. Are they creating environments where everyone is treated with respect, or are biases being allowed to fester? Consider this: discrimination in the workplace isn't just morally wrong, it's also costly. Research shows that companies with diverse and inclusive cultures outperform their competitors by 35 and are more likely to retain top talent. Yet many organizations still struggle to implement meaningful change. Marcus' approach offers a blueprint for others to follow. Start with accountability, address the root causes, and create opportunities for marginalized groups to thrive. Another critical takeaway from this story is the importance of challenging stereotypes. Marcus, a self-made entrepreneur and tech vision, achieved remarkable success, yet he was judged solely on his appearance. This isn't uncommon. Studies indicate that biases against individuals based on race, gender, or socioeconomic background can impact hiring decisions, promotions, and everyday interactions. By sharing his experience, Marcus not only shed light on these issues but also inspired others to reflect on their own behaviors and assumptions. His public speech at the Aviation Summit encapsulated this perfectly. Leadership isn't about wealth or power, it's about action. You change a culture by standing up, especially when no one expects you to. Marcus's journey is a powerful reminder that real progress starts with individuals who are willing to take a stand. His actions didn't just change his company, they set an example for an entire industry. For anyone watching, his story is a call to action to challenge prejudice, advocate for equality, and build a future where respect and fairness are the norms, not the exceptions. As we reflect on Marcus' story, let's also think about how we can apply these lessons in our own lives. Have you witnessed or experienced discrimination? How did you respond? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters, and together we can inspire the change we want to see. Marcus Brown's story is more than just an Account of overcoming prejudice. It's a powerful lesson in leadership, accountability and the courage to stand facing separation from being excused and derided at the air terminal. 2. Uncovering reality with regards to his proprietorship of Skyborn. Marcus' activities sent a reverberating message. Regard and trustworthiness are non-debatable. His unequivocal reaction didn't simply address the unfairness he confronted, it made significant change by terminating the team, executing company-wide coaching in racial awareness, and cooperating with minority-possessed aeronautics firms. Marcus showed that administration isn't about titles or abundance, it's about activity, as he expressed during his public discourse at the flight highest point. You change a culture by standing up, particularly when nobody anticipates that you should. This story reminds all of us of the significance of flexibility and responsibility. It moves us to consider how we treat others and how we answer when confronted with bias. Separation in any structure is inadmissible, however it makes an intense move to destroy it and make enduring change. As we wrap up, we welcome you to contemplate your own encounters. Have you at any point confronted or saw what was happening? Like Marcus, how could it influence you, and how could you answer? Share your story in the remarks beneath. We'd very much want to hear from you, assuming that this story propelled you. Remember to hit that buy in button. By buying in, you'll join a local area committed to sharing reality stories that challenge viewpoints and rouse change. And if this message impacts you, share it with somebody who requires to hear it. Together we can keep on learning, develop and fabricate a more comprehensive world.